Welcome back everyone to another episode of the SILKSONG as Pokemon series. Today we have a very special episode. We're finally getting the legendaries of the region. Up until now we only made regular Pokemon, but today we will have a dual legendary similar to what Latios and Latios are. We will have the main legendary, the mythical of the region, and even the pseudo legendary, as well as a few more designs in between. Anyway, let's get started. I would like to start the video with the pseudo legendary of the region, based on the Faithorn, a majestic creature you find at the top of Mount Fae. I decided to base the first stage on the Drifloon, who you can also find climbing Mount Fae. They have a similar colour scheme, as well as having two little horns on top of its head, just like the Faithorn. So, who knows, they might actually be related somehow. Meet Frufael, a nice and fairy type Pokemon. This Pokemon is very fluffy, making it a perfect companion for trainers who love soft creatures. When I started creating this line, I started with the final evolution, which ended up not looking as much as a Faithorn, as I wanted to add extra details to really show how special this Pokemon is. So I decided to make the middle stage look more like the actual Faithorn, giving it a long neck, fluffy wings and two small horns. At level 35, Frufael will evolve into Plumora, the Faithorn Pokemon. The feathers on this Pokemon act as a perfect insulator, so many try to hunt this Pokemon in order to use them for protective coats. However, this is no easy task, as this Pokemon is very powerful and it lives in extreme cold weathers, so it's not easy to encounter. As for its abilities, I went with Fluffy for obvious reasons, which would make it very tanky, but also very weak against fire type attacks. So a little risky. And for its hidden ability, I actually gave it a custom ability called Thermic Coat, which halves the damage of fire and ice type attacks to its allies and itself. Similar to Thick Fat, but it also works on its allies in a double battle. This ability represents how the Faithorn gives Hornet these feathers in her cloak that protect her from the cold. And finally, we have something that goes beyond the actual Faithorn. I decided to design its horns like the ornament you can find at the top of Mount Fae. I also gave it some red accents in its wings to give it a little contrast in its design, as well as more complexity due to it being a pseudo. The red also serves kinda like a reverse Hornet. Instead of having a red cloak with white feathers inside, it's all white with some red feathers hidden on the inside. A very fitting Pokemon for Hornet, so I can imagine her having it in her team. At level 55, Plumora will evolve into Forstellis. This Pokemon lives at the top of icy mountains. If it finds any lost travelers, it will aid them and keep them warm until they feel better. However, it will only let itself be catched by a powerful trainer, so if you need rescuing, forget about adding it in your team, as it won't find you worthy. Probably best if you catch it through Fail and train it from there. As for its stats, it has a very high special defense and decent special attack, but being a pseudo legendary, has good stats all around. Now, a lot of you asked for a Grandmother Silk legendary Pokemon, and you will get it. But to show you this Pokemon, first I need to design the evil team's leader, who is also based on Grandmother Silk, as she is essential to the plot and to understand the legendary Pokemon to come. The idea is that she came to this region a few years ago and quickly started gaining influence, becoming some kind of cult leader. Many people of the region would worship her and want to become part of Team Silk. So many Pokemon trainers start their journey in order to reach the Citadel to join, similar to how the pilgrims in SILKSONG want to reach the Citadel. For her appearance, I wanted her to look like someone who's super empathic, someone who's constantly helping those in need. Of course, we all know that things aren't always what they look like, so I wouldn't trust her if I were you. Meet Mother Silica, the leader of Team Silk. At some point of your journey, you would meet her and fight her Pokemon team. And just like in a previous video, I already assigned some Pokemon to her. But to understand her team, first I need to talk about the region's gimmick. Similar to Mega Evolution, some Pokemon in this region get new temporary forms. I'll call these Awakened forms, although the name is still in progress, so if you have a better suggestion, just let me know. Anyway, as I was saying, these awakening forms are similar to Mega Evolutions in the sense that they are temporary forms. However, instead of getting a stat increase, they get a stat redistribution, so a tanky Pokemon might become a glass cannon. The lore behind these forms is that there are godlike Pokemon lurking in the region, and they're influencing these Pokemon. similar to the Infection in Hollow Knight or the Haunting in SILKSONG. So there are 4 types of awakening forms. Those based on the Haunting, the Infection, the Void, and finally, Lifeblood. I actually already designed one of them, Trevenant. It was originally going to be a regional form, but in the end, it's going to be an awakened form. So now that you understand the gimmick better, let's talk about Silica's team. I want all of her team to be awakened forms of existing Pokemon, all being based on enemies from SILKSONG. For now, I thought of 2 Pokemon for her team. Awakened Gardevoir, based on a Wraith, becoming a Ghost and Fairy type and becoming much faster. And the other Pokemon I thought of was a Dragapult, based on the Maestro. Instead of being a glass cannon, it's now a defensive Pokemon that has a Dreepy surrounding it in order to protect it, just how the Maestro has the Cogflies around it. Anyway, you can expect to see these new forms in the next video, but I still need more ideas, so if you have any cool ideas, be sure to share them in the comment section. So, once you defeat your team, something is revealed. She, Silica herself, starts transforming into a Pokemon. And here comes the Pokemon based on Grandmother Silk. You may notice some similarities with a certain god Pokemon, Arceus. You see, the idea I had for this Pokemon is that Arceus is also a pale being, and she comes from a different dimension, essentially making her an Ultra Beast, but one equivalent to Arceus. Basically, different dimensions have godlike creatures who created other Pokemon, and Grandmother Silk is one of them. So she came to this world, and just how in Hollow Knight pale beings have this tendency to rule over others, so do these godlike Pokemon. Arceus created all of the living beings in this world, but now Grandmother Silk is trying to influence them and become the new god, substituting Arceus. Meet Cosmera. This normal type Pokemon came through an Ultra Wormhole about 40 years ago. However, this is merely an avatar of the real Pokemon. They say that its real form has 1,000 pins and its body is made entirely out of silk that transcends space and time, traveling through different dimensions in order to control other Pokemon and act like some kind of god. For its ability, I went with something fun, as this Pokemon is a reason why Pokemon in this region are getting new forms where the stats are redistributed. I gave it a custom ability called Fate Weaver, which acts similar to Moody. At the end of every turn, every Pokemon gets a random stat increased by 1 stage and one other decreased by 1. It can be a very chaotic ability, but also a lot of fun. As for its stats, just like Arceus, it has a BST of 700, distributed equally at 120 to each stat. So with its ability, no matter what stat is increased, it should still be able to use it. Next, we have the daughters of Grandmother Silk, Lace and Phantom. Starting with Phantom, it's a Pokemon created by Cosmera from scratch, just like Phantom. This Pokemon is supposed to be a failure, so I wanted to design it as if its body is slowly decomposing. Meet Fantira, a normal and ghost type Pokemon. When Cosmera arrived in this universe, it tried to create a Pokemon out of its own silk and pin. However, due to it being the first time it ever did this, it ended up in failure, as its own silk would constantly undo itself, so she was abandoned in the region. As for its ability, I went with Cursed Body, fitting for a ghost type like this one, especially considering its condition. And for its stats, I decided to make it quite tanky, as in SILKSONG, defeating this enemy would give you the counter skill, and the tanky Pokemon can benefit quite well of Cursed Body. In a previous video, we turned Lace into a Pokemon trainer, specifically your rival. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't also get a Pokemon version of herself. She is part of a duo with her sister, Phantom, and the idea that your rival Lace was a Pokemon all along. She would reveal herself in your fight against Cosmera, maybe helping you fight her in a double battle against her, similar to how in Sword and Shield, you had Zacian and Zamazenta help you against Eternatus, contrasting how she caught Grandmother Silk's arm entering Act 3. Meet Lantira, a normal type Pokemon. Once Cosmera deemed Fantira a failure and abandoned her, she tried once more, creating this time what she considers a masterpiece. With its pin-like arms, inherited by Cosmera herself, she will blow devastating precise strikes to her enemies. Just like her creator, she hides the true nature of a Pokemon, disguising herself as a human. she constantly tests Hornet through her journey to see if she will really be able to defeat her mother. As for her ability, I went with Defiant. Considering how she literally defies her mother in the game, I think it's very fitting, and that ability would be very helpful against Cosmera, as she would get a stat lowered each turn at random, activating Defiant. And as for her stats, I made her BST a little higher than Phantom's. She is supposed to be the masterpiece. I gave them the same speed, but instead of being tanky, she has a really high attack and decent special attack. Hi everyone, before we continue with the next design, just a quick reminder that you can become a member to help support the channel. Every month, you get to download different PNGs of the Pokemon we create here. This month, we have the Weevolutions, so be sure to check the different membership plans if you're interested. Anyway, back to the video. Next, we have the Mythical of the region. One of you, an Agenda Kirby enjoyer, suggested for the first Sinner to be the Mythical of the region, having a similar relation to a fire-lead Pokemon as Diancie has with Carbink. So here we have a common Pokemon of the region, just a weak bug type that you can find all around the region, doesn't evolve or have a pre-evolution. Meet Farvel, a bug type Pokemon of the Farlone region. It's believed to be the first Pokemon to be discovered in the region, and the reason the region was named like that many centuries ago. It covers its face with its silk to protect it from hazards such as the heavy sandstorms of the region. As for its abilities, I went with Technician and Swarm, pretty basic abilities, but for its hidden ability, I went with Wonder Skin. And the reason is, well, because it covers itself in silk that protects it, but also for a lore reason, as Cosmera tried to control this Pokemon as it found it relatable because it covers itself in silk, but one of them managed to resist and became a mythical Pokemon. As for its stats, it's not very powerful, something like Sableye, but it's fast with decent attack, so it can at least do something. And, as I mentioned, a mythical Pokemon based on First Sinner. This is no evolution of Farvel, just a Farvel who got mutated by Cosmera and gained immense power without losing itself. For those of you who don't know, First Sinner, as well as all the Weavers, were originally Farlids that got turned into intelligent beings by Grandmother Silk, but eventually they rebelled against their creator. Meet Aracrux, a bug and normal type Pokemon. When Cosmera arrived at the Farlone region, she found a bunch of humble Farvel. They weren't particularly strong, but the way they wrapped themselves in silk made them somehow relatable to Cosmera. So she decided to give them immense power and add them to her army of Pokemon in order to gain control of this universe. However, one of them resisted her control. Instead, she gained a new appearance and rebelled against her creator, spreading her silk through the region, allowing other Pokemon to enter their awakened forms without losing control. As for its ability, I went with Magic Guard, which I think represents well her resistance to being controlled by Cosmera. Stat-wise, she's a fast, mixed attacker, as First Sinner is a very frenetic fight and she attacks you with her claws as well as silk skills such as Rune Rage. And that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, but before we end the video, I would like to thank my members, Redcloyd7, Jonathan Kant, Pokelix Fillers and Walker Right No War, who make these videos possible. Anyway, remember to leave a comment letting me know what you would like to see next, especially if it's awakened forms, as that's what we will see in the next video. Anyway, bye bye.